Hello everyone, this is video number 2, and today we're going to talk about articulation and the Bonwill triangle. Dr. Bonwill was a prominent dentist who graduated dental school of Philadelphia, and then he practiced in Delaware the majority of his life. He was also a research scientist. He had the opportunity to measure over 4,000 human skulls, and also he measured about 6,000 humans. What he was trying to determine was an average setting. And what he came up with after looking at 10,000 different skulls is that if you measure and you take the average on 10,000 skulls and you measure from the condyle to condyle, he came up with an average measurement of 4 inches. 4 inches, approximately 100 millimeters. So some people, of course, were above it, some were below it, but when he did the average on 10,000 skulls, it was 4 millimeters from condyle to condyle, but then he also determined it was 4 millimeters from the condyle to where the 2 centrals meet on the incisal edge. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but I'll do this again in the lab, but I just want you to understand the concept. So for those of you that remember your geometry, a triangle with 4 by 4 by 4 is an equilateral triangle. So he was one of the earliest ones to start talking about occlusion in the modern age. This was in the mid-1800s when he did this. So at that point, then dentists and doctors and anatomists started realizing the correlations, and they started to talk about anatomy in a different way, that there were these geometric structures. And then eventually you've all heard of SPIE, you've heard of Monson, you know the curvus SPIE, the Monson sphere. We'll talk about all this in great detail in lecture. But he was the first one in the modern age, modern age of the 1850s, to realize that there is some geometric relation in dental anatomy. So seeing that we do not have a face bow, of course you know what face bows are. You know, it's a simple instrument that'll transfer the information from the patient to the semi-adjustable articulator. But seeing we don't have a patient, it makes no sense to use a face bow, so we're going to articulate this using the Bonwill method. So if you notice, I have a rubber band that I've set in a triangle. So here's my equilateral triangle. It's running from condyle to condyle, coming out to the incisal pin. I've set this so it's parallel. So, and again, we'll do all this in lab, so don't get caught up with this. I just want you to get the idea. We're putting the rubber band into the little notch. We'll bring it around to the front where you can see the small hole, the pin. Let's not use that guide pin. There is a guide pin for setting teeth. That has no bearing on what we're going to do right now. Make sure the pin everything's parallel, so the maxillary and mandibular portions are parallel. I've added a little bit of Vaseline on the 2 mounting plates, because you have to clean this off and give it back at the end of the semester. And if you forget the Vaseline, you're going to have a heck of a time cleaning this. So just a little bit of Vaseline here, a little Vaseline here. I'm probably not going to put any Vaseline on the models because I want them to break away clean. If I put Vaseline, well, I could actually do a little bit, but not a lot. I'm not putting it in the grooves. I can add just a slight amount of Vaseline onto the model, but don't get carried away or it's going to keep falling off on you. Remember I said we have 3 different sets that we're doing, 3 projects. So project 1, and I've marked them 1 on the back. Second one I've marked 2, third one I've marked 3. But it's all going to be the same, and we're doing this to first class. Also, I've put the 2 models into class 1 occlusion. And if you remember when I was talking about what is the definition, the mesial-buccal cusp of the upper first molar is directly in line with the buccal groove of the lower first molar. So that's the orientation, and I'll help you put them together. And then I took a red pencil, and with a red pencil I made a red line here, a red line here, a red line here, and a red line here. Then I sticky waxed those 4 areas. I prefer to use sticky wax, not a glue gun. We found with a glue gun we get some distortion. We wind up having to knock them all off and re-articulate again. So let's use old-fashioned sticky wax. It works great, and it pops right off after the articulation with no problem. Do not put any sticky wax on the prepared teeth, because if you flick it off by accident and you break any of these teeth, then the model goes in the garbage. You have to pour a model. You're going to lose an hour or more. So make sure you put the sticky wax. I'm going to mark each one of these with you. It'll only take me a few seconds to do it for each person. So when I hand out the models, let's make sure project number 1, prepared lower teeth, full upper teeth. Project number 2 is actually the other way around. Prepared maxillary teeth and full lower teeth. Project number 3, everything's prepared, upper and lower. And we're going to mark every model. So this is set number 1, then you'll have a set number 2, set number 3. I've already, to save a little time, I've already done some simple indexing. Why do you index? To hold the model in place. And if you take it off, so it'll go back again. Quite often, I also drill holes. I didn't do it today, but I do drill holes. I put little Pindex pins in here, and then that allows me to take it on and off if I want. I always do that in crown and bridge and ceramic class, but no need here because we're not taking this off, we're just waxing. Okay, so we're all set up. We've already marked it. I marked the red lines so I know I'm in occlusion. I've done the sticky wax on all 4 corners. I've done the indexing. I've marked it set number 1. Let's get everything out of the way. I've already done this. So let me put this on pause for a minute and I'll mix some plaster.